theatre on her own. She says that to no one in particular every time she books for a show. I like to go to the theatre on my own, she says, as she sits at one of the rickety card tables with embroidered tablecloths after the Sunday morning service. Who is she talking to? It would be hard to say that she's talking to anyone in particular. Whoever is sitting opposite her in St Andrew's Methodist Church Hall hears the message. The person who imagines themselves addressed may reflect that Judith is always on her own anyway. They may nod in encouragement and put two and two together to conclude that it's 12th night she's going to see. You'll enjoy that, they may say. It's a lovely play. Lots of humour. Oh, just a bit cruel at the end. But this will elicit no response from Judith. Judith does not do conversation. She will not speak again before finishing her cup of tea, standing up and leaving the hall. Judith is someone who never says hello or goodbye, whether in person or on the phone, nor does she smile at people when she's in the shops or in the church or at the library. Her broad, rosy face remains always calm and impassive, taking in the world and its creatures, but not reacting to them. There's nothing vacant or depressive or even aggressive in her features or her manner. No one knows what age Judith is. She could be 33 or she could be 47. Her straw-like hair is straight, but falls at an angle from her head almost to her shoulders, and contributes to the impression of robust health that she gives. She walks down the road to the newsagent, emerging after a minute with a coloured magazine rolled tightly in her left hand, and in her right hand a cornetto, from which she has already torn the paper covering. She licks it all round very carefully as she walks back up the road, past the church, then across a small park in which the trees have newly lost their leaves, and into another road. After passing 10 semi-detached pairs of houses, she reaches her own. The small front garden is neatly paved over. On the front door, an old plastic plaque requests callers selling things not to do so. And as she opens the door, a tabby cat of similar vintage emerges round the corner of the house to greet her with a half-strangled meow. Judith ignores the cat and shuts the door, leaving it outside. A little later, she gets to the theatre. The stone bench she'd been sitting on struck cold into her bottom, so she gets up and enters the theatre foyer. She does not buy a programme, but enters the theatre and finds her seat on the front row of the stalls. She keeps her coat on. She's on the middle of the front row, so no one will have to push past her. Judith hates that. And above all, she does not like it if anyone tries to talk to her. It is unfortunate that she has the kind of open face and childlike bearing that encourages strangers to practice their friendliness on her. "Is this number 15?" asks a neat, white-haired man who looks like a retired architect or a clergyman. He's with his wife and is staring at the seat next to Judith's. It clearly has the number 15 on its tipped-up bottom, and Judith feels no requirement to answer the question. "Oh yes," says the man, "thank you. Should have gone to Specsavers." Judith's eyes twitch a little. Then a large woman arrives in seat number 13 on Judith's other side. She's wearing a voluminous orange coat and flops down into the seat, still wearing the coat. "Oof, it's a bit of a pull up from the station. Next time I think I'll take the tram. It does come round to here, doesn't it?" She is apparently not talking to herself. "Yes," says Judith, very quietly and not turning her head. The large woman heaves herself out of her seat and takes off her coat, which catches Judith's hair as it flies around. "Oh, sorry," says the woman, as a warm waft of perfume comes to Judith. "They make these theatre seats just too narrow, don't they? Hardly better than Ryanair." She lowers herself back into the seat, clutching the big folds of her coat in front of her. After fishing around in one of its pockets, she pulls out a programme and flicks quickly through it. Then she offers it to Judith. "Do you want to have a look? You haven't got one, have you?" Judith shakes her head and does not move to take the proffered slim volume. "Oh, right," says the woman, and begins a more thorough perusal of the programme. The lights go down and the play begins. It takes a few minutes for Judith's breathing to return to normal. People are applauding at the end of the first part of the play, and the lights have not yet gone up, when Judith feels a crawling tickle in her nose, Within 5 seconds she sneezed 3 times, and in the quiet moment after the end of the applause, the sneezes sound extraordinarily loud, and several people around her say, "Bless you." Judith bends to grab her bag and feels around desperately for her handkerchief. Finding it, she wipes her dripping nose and streaming eyes. "You can never tell, can you, when they're going to come?" sneezes, says the large woman. "Hope it's not a cold coming on." Judith looks down at her feet. Getting noticed like this is a catastrophe. But maybe she will make a friend of the fat lady.